Hello and welcome to the Daily Poem. I'm Heidi White, and today is Thursday, March 25th. And today I'm going to read for you a poem by American poet E. Cummings, who lived from 1894 to 1962 and is widely regarded as one of the most influential modernist poets of the 20th century. So E. Cummings pioneered and certainly perfected the technique of free verse. He wrote throughout his long and illustrious career over 2,900 poems, and most of them, if not all of them, use this free verse technique. It looks as if it has no form at all. If you go look at the poems on the page, everything kind of runs together. There's very little punctuation, very few capital letters, kind of punctuation, if it's there, is in kind of a strange place. The spaces between words are either elongated or eliminated. And he uses a lot of these techniques in order to experiment with how to create meaning within a poem, and how the form and the content kind of work together to produce kind of an unusual and subversive kind of meaning. And so, in spite of the fact that many of his poems look as if they have no formal technique at all, they really do. They're just experimental. They're unusual. They're avant-garde, so to speak. So the poem that I'm going to read for you today is called In Just, and this is how it goes. In just spring, when the world is mud luscious, the little lame balloon man whistles far and wee, and Eddie and Bill come running from marbles and piracies, and it's spring, when the world is puddle wonderful. The queer old balloon man whistles far and wee, and Betty and Disbel come dancing from hopscotch and jump rope, and it's spring, and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far and wee. So if you noticed in hearing the poem, I stopped and started rapidly, and I took some unusual pauses. And this is my attempt to produce to you, the listener, the visual technique of the poem, in which he's skipping from line to line and creating big gaps between words and then jamming some of the words together. For example, whenever he has names in here, he uses two companion names, Eddie and Bill, and Betty and Disbel. And those names are run together with no spaces between. So it's just Eddie and Bill, all one word. So when I read it out loud, I wanted you to hear that. And this is a great example of Cummings and how he plays with form in order to get across the meaning. Here, Eddie and Bill belong together. They're companions. They're children who are playing together. They're really more one unit than they are the both of them. And in order to communicate that to the reader, Cummings jams their names together. And he does that in a lot of different ways. I would highly recommend taking a look at his poems and this particular poem. And I chose this poem because it is indeed a harbinger of spring, a celebration of spring, but also a little subversive, as Cummings is known to be. We have 3 times here mentioned a balloon man. And the balloon man, of course, you might think of a balloon man as being this kind of innocent childhood figure. The man comes and he sells balloons, maybe balloon animals to kids outside. And yet the adjectives that are used to describe our balloon man can be interpreted as fairly sinister. The first one, lame. There's nothing necessarily sinister about being lame. Of course, that's a common physical malady. But that specific word that's chosen, lame, kind of already puts in your head this idea that there's something a little off about this balloon man. The next word that's used to describe our balloon man is queer old. The queer old balloon man whistles far and wee. And then finally, we have the goat-footed balloon man. And so we have a balloon man who's a little bit dark, right? A little off. There's something not quite right about our balloon man, but the children are flocking to him in the spring. And so we have this juxtaposition between our strange balloon man and then also this happy childhood scene. My very favorite line in this is the very famous, for people who like Cummings, and anybody who's paying attention probably noticed this line, when the world is puddle wonderful. So we don't just have a strange balloon man. We also have a puddle, wonderful world, a world of spring, a world of transition in which darkness and cold are fading, and the long days and the happy life-filled days of spring are here. And yet there's something a little haunted about the spring and about childhood. And so here we have just, I think, vintage, just wonderful E. E. Cummings with this idyllic childhood scene and these lovely images of spring, but also haunted by a strange, mysterious, goat-footed balloon man. So here it is one more time. In Just by E. E. Cummings. In just spring, when the world is mud luscious, the little lame balloon man whistles far and wee. And Eddie and Bill come running from marbles and piracies, and it's spring, when the world is puddle wonderful. The queer old balloon man whistles far and wee, and Betty and Disbell come dancing from hopscotch and jump rope, and it's spring, and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far and wee. This has been the Daily Poem, and we'll be back again tomorrow with another poem.